July 12th, 1987, Saturday afternoon, Knightsbridge, London. A Ferrari Testarossa pulls up to the most secure private vault in Europe. The man stepping out is Valerio Viccei, an Italian fugitive wanted for more than 50 armed robberies back home. In his pocket, a fake passport. In the lobby, the manager has been grooming for 6 months. 5 seconds after he walks through the door, 2 more men slip in behind him. Guns appear. 4 armed guards never reach for their weapons. A "closed for cleaning" sign goes up against the glass. From the street, nothing has happened. Inside, the most paranoid vault in Europe is being opened from within. The boxes hold the hidden wealth of Saudi diplomats, Soviet oligarchs, and money launderers who cannot afford to admit what they kept there. He is the most wanted man in Italy, hiding in plain sight in the most policed city in Europe. And on this particular Saturday, he is about to make exactly one mistake, a mistake no detective could ever have predicted, because it lives inside his own head. How did one Italian crack London's tightest vault? And what is the mistake that destroys him? Ascoli Piceno, a small medieval city in central Italy, ringed by the Sibillini Mountains, stone streets, a cathedral square. This is where Valerio Viccei is born in 1955. By 19, he is robbing his first bank. The Italian Carabinieri start a file on him in the early 1980s. The file is thick: a bank in Bologna, a jeweler off Piazza Navona, an armored truck holdup outside Pescara. By 1986, Viccei is suspected in connection with more than 50 armed robberies across Italy. He has never been convicted of a single one. He has been arrested twice, both times briefly. Both times he walked back onto the street within days. Once on a procedural technicality, once because the witness, on the morning of testimony, suddenly cannot remember his face. He is no thug. He speaks 3 languages fluently. He reads Dostoevsky in the original Russian. He writes essays for his own pleasure. He wears bespoke suits cut in Milan, drives cars he should not be able to afford, and talks his way past police checkpoints with the unhurried charm of a man who genuinely cannot picture himself in handcuffs. In his early 20s, he drifts toward the Nuclei Armati Rivoluzionari, an Italian neo-fascist underground active in the late 1970s. Viccei is not an ideologue. He is drawn to the aesthetic of the romance of the outlaw, the cinema of the political extremist. NAR teaches him the things he learned: weapons, false papers, the mechanics of staying invisible inside a country that is hunting you. He drifts back out the moment the persona becomes more interesting than politics. That is the engine running underneath everything that comes next. Viccei does not see himself as a criminal. He sees himself as a professional whose chosen profession happens to be illegal. The distinction matters to him more than money. It will eventually matter to him more than his life. Spring 1986. An investigation finally closes around him. Italian prosecutors have a witness who, this time, will not retract. The walls are tightening in Ascoli Piceno. Viccei weighs his options at a kitchen table over an espresso. He could vanish into the Argentine pampas. He could cross into Tunisia. He could go to the ground in Yugoslavia. Instead, he chooses the most counterintuitive destination on the European map: London, the capital of British policing, the most surveilled financial city in Europe. By every conventional logic, the worst possible refuge for a wanted Italian. Italy is small. Italian banks are insured by Italian companies. Italian thieves are competing for crumbs. London is the largest concentration of unguarded high-value wealth on the continent. The very surveillance that should make London dangerous becomes, in his calculation, his camouflage. 10 million well-dressed Europeans walk these streets every day. He will be one of them. The smarter the city, the deeper a man like him can hide inside it. He arrives in autumn 1986 with false papers and roughly £100,000 in cash from his Italian operations. He rents a flat in Mayfair. Within weeks, he buys the Ferrari Testarossa. Within months, he is a familiar face at 3 private clubs, 2 restaurants on Curzon Street, and a casino off Marylebone High Street. He spends 6 months living, very visibly, the life he intends to fund through robbery. The persona walks ahead of the man. The Italian playboy is on the stage before the actor has earned the right to be there. But he has to earn it. And to earn it, he needs a target larger than any robbery any Italian thief has ever attempted. He finds it at Cheval Place. Why does the most wanted man in Italy choose the most policed city in Europe as his refuge? And what does Valerio Viccei see in a private vault on Cheval Place that every other criminal in London has missed? The Knightsbridge Security Deposit Center opens its doors in 1980. It is not a bank. The distinction matters more than anything else in this story. Banks are regulated. Banks file suspicious activity reports. Banks ask, at minimum, where the money came from. The Knightsbridge Security Deposit Center asks none of these questions. It rents safe deposit boxes for an annual fee. The clients store what they wish to store. The management does not look like it. The management does not want to look. By 1987, Cheval Place is widely considered one of the most secure private vault facilities in Europe. Military-grade Chubb locks on every box. Each box is independently alarmed. A walk-in vault sunk into the bedrock beneath the building, behind a steel door with bolts on the thickness of a man's wrist. 4 armed guards on rotation, cameras at every threshold. The architecture says in steel and concrete, "Nothing leaves here without our consent." Now here is the inversion almost no other thief in London understands. The vault is not secure because it stores a bank's money. It stores its clients' boxes, and those clients diplomats from Riyadh, oligarchs quietly liquidating Soviet assets, German aristocrats with offshore concerns, drug money launderers servicing continental supply networks. They need this much security precisely because they are storing wealth that cannot safely exist anywhere else. You are looking at a vault whose security exists to protect criminals from other criminals, from the government, from rival networks, from their own competing accomplices. Which means, if the vault is ever robbed, most of its clients can never go to the police. Viccei does not see Cheval Place as a target. He sees it as a perfect target, maximum concentration of wealth, minimum willingness to report, the highest expected return of any robbery target on the continent. Other London thieves are queuing to rob banks defended by Lloyd's Insurance and Scotland Yard. Viccei is preparing to rob the architecture of an entire underground financial system, defended only by the secrecy of its own customers. He needs an inside man. Parvez Latif is the general manager of Knightsbridge Security Deposits. Mid-30s, married, 2 children, a career on a respectable trajectory, and approximately £200,000 in personal gambling debts that no respectable career can ever repay. He drinks, heavily. He is at the same Mayfair clubs Viccei has been cultivating since the day he stepped off the plane. They meet casually in early 1987. The Italian becomes the friend. He listens to gambling stories. He buys the next round. He loans money, small amounts at first, with the easy generosity of a man who clearly does not need it back. Over weeks, the conversations move from sympathy to suggestion. The suggestion takes the shape of a single question, posed late one night across a polished bar. What if every problem in Latif's life could disappear in a single Saturday afternoon? Latif agrees. He will provide the floor plan, the alarm codes, the guard rotations, the specific boxes he knows hold the highest value contents. In exchange, he receives a share and a window of opportunity to disappear before British police identify him. This is how extraordinary heists actually happen. Not technology, not spectacle. One desperate man in middle management and a charming stranger who has learned over a decade of armed robbery exactly which questions to ask. Viccei recruits Eric Rogers as his principal accomplice. Rogers is British, professional, ex-army. A third man rounds out the crew. 3 men inside the vault, plus Latif's cooperation on the door. Smaller than any heist on this scale should be. The smallness is the design. Fewer mouths, fewer leaks, fewer points of failure. By June 1987, the plan is complete. 3 men, 1 inside accomplice. One Saturday afternoon when central London empties and tourists fill the streets and nobody, anywhere, is paying attention to the neoclassical facade on Cheval Place. Is Latif really planning to share the money? And what is Viccei willing to do on the afternoon of July 12th if his entire architecture is being quietly inverted from beneath him? 12:30 in the afternoon, July 12th, 1987. The Ferrari Testarossa pulls up half a block from Cheval Place and goes quiet. Viccei steps out alone. The leather briefcase swings at his side. The watch catches the sunlight. 12:33. He pushes through the front door of the Knightsbridge Security Deposit Center. Latif is at the desk. The choreography between them is invisible. Two strangers exchanging a polite greeting in a marble lobby. Viccei requests, in clipped English, a tour of available safe deposit boxes. Latif nods. He escorts the Italian through the security door at the rear of the lobby. 12:35. Eric Rogers and the third man enter the lobby, both armed. The four guards reach for nothing. Within 90 seconds, all four are restrained on the floor of the front office. Hands behind the back, mouths gagged with strips of cloth from a duffel bag. Pulse rates of climbing. No shots fired. Viccei has been explicit with his crew during the months of planning. Guns are not props, but they will not be used. 12:42. The closed for cleaning sign goes up against the inside of the glass front door. From the pavement, the building looks like a private institution observing a quiet weekend. The bound guards lie still. Latif unlocks the master vault door. The bolts retract with a heavy mechanical sigh. Viccei steps inside. He has hours. The drilling begins. They have specific tungsten carbide drill bits matched to the Chubb mechanisms. They have oxygen acetylene torches for the heaviest boxes. They have pry bars, gloves. Sequencing, they know which boxes Latif has flagged as highest value, and they go through those first. The first box opens at 12:51 with a soft metallic crack. By 1 in the afternoon, they are working 3 boxes simultaneously, the air thickening with metal dust and the sharp chemical bite of cutting torches. Inside the boxes, bundles of unmarked cash in 5 currencies. Gold bullion stamped with markings from Riyadh, Geneva, Hamburg. Bearer bonds issued by banks that no longer exist. Loose diamonds and small velvet pouches that one of the crew briefly mistakes for costume jewelry. Documents in Russian, Arabic, German. Passports under names that match no embassy database on Earth. The wealth of a parallel financial system kept here because nowhere else on the continent would have it. A guard, interviewed years later, describes Viccei in the doorway of the vault. Polite, almost apologetic. At one point during the afternoon, Viccei walks out of the vault and into the front office, and brings the bound guards bottles of water. He kneels beside one of them. He apologizes for any inconvenience. The detail will haunt British investigators for years. Most armed robbers do not stop mid-robbery to bring their hostages water. Then, at approximately 3:15, the buzzer goes. A potential customer is at the front door, a well-dressed man in a hat. He has rung the buzzer for entry. Inside the lobby, every man freezes. The bound guards lie motionless, listening. From inside the vault, Viccei can hear the buzzer pulsing. If the man at the door grows suspicious, if he calls anyone, if he glances through the glass and sees something he should not see. Latif, ashen, steps to the intercom. He apologizes through the speaker. The facility, he says, is closed for emergency cleaning. The customer hesitates. A single beat. 2. Then he turns and walks down Cheval Place. The drilling resumes inside the vault as if nothing has happened. Nobody in that building exhales for nearly a minute. 2 in the afternoon, 3, 4. The drilling continues. They are no longer counting boxes. They are filling duffel bags. The bags are getting heavier than the crew had budgeted for. They have to leave behind. Estimates afterward will place the number of opened boxes between 110 and over 200. The exact figure will never be confirmed. The vault management does not know what was in the boxes. The owners will not say. Approximately 5:30. They stop. They lock the vault behind them. They walk out the front entrance carrying duffel bags so heavy that one of the men is breathing hard by the time he reaches the car. The closed for cleaning sign is still in the window. Viccei drives away in the Ferrari. The accomplices disperse on foot, on the underground by black cab. The robbery has not been reported. Most of London do not know if it has happened. The discovery comes when staff arrive that evening to lock the building for the night. The guards are still bound. The vault is empty of its highest value boxes. The City of London police mobilize what has become one of the largest investigations in their history. And then, the fingerprint. Somewhere during the drilling, on the polished steel of one of the boxes, Viccei has left a single print. Whether the latex of his glove splits, whether he removed it for a moment to handle a delicate document, whether sweat dissolved the seal at his wrist, investigators will never settle on the explanation. Forensics dust the vault and find it. They run it through international databases. Within days, they have a name: Valerio Viccei, Italian national, currently wanted in his home country in connection with over 50 armed robberies. But Viccei is gone. He is on a flight to Buenos Aires within 72 hours. The fake documents have been ready for months. The new identity has been signed. He has carried out the largest robbery in British history, inside an afternoon, and he is now in a country where, by treaty, British police cannot reach him. He has won. Some men, given that ending, would vanish into the Argentine countryside and die at 92 in a villa in Patagonia. Valerio Viccei is not those men. He has won. So why 6 weeks later does he decide to fly back to London? And what is the single object in that city that he cannot, under any circumstances, leave behind? Buenos Aires, late summer 1987. The new identity is in place. The apartment in Recoleta is paid up for a year. The Argentine girlfriend is real and in love with a man whose given name she cannot pronounce. The money is split across 20 different places, banks in Uruguay, a courier service routing cash through the Caribbean, several hundred kilos of bullion in a private storage unit in Montevideo. By every visible measure, Valerio Viccei is free. The Ferrari Testarossa is parked outside the Mayfair flat where he left it, bright red, registered in writing in his real name. British police have it under permanent surveillance. They are betting, correctly, that a man who built his identity on that car will not be able to walk away from it. He could leave it behind. He could buy 10 Ferraris in Argentina. The car is, objectively, a worthless trinket compared to his freedom. But it is his Ferrari. He bought it the week he arrived in London. He drove it from the Heist. It is part of the persona he has spent 2 years constructing in front of mirrors and in front of women and in front of the city itself. The Italian playboy without his Testarossa is not the Italian playboy. He is just a wealthy fugitive in a country he does not love. So he decides to ship the car to Argentina. The shipping requires his signature. The car is in his real name. The paperwork at the export facility cannot be processed by a representative. He must fly back, in person, walk into a shipping office in West London, present identification, and authorize the transfer. He is, in plain terms, going to fly back into the city, where he is the most wanted man in British criminal history, in order to collect a car. September 1987. He lands at Heathrow on his false documents. Passport control glances at the photograph, glances at his face, and stamps him through. The new identity holds. He goes directly to the shipping facility arranging the Ferrari's transport. British police, who have been watching the car since the moment forensics named him, are notified the second he walks in. They arrested him at the desk, mid-paperwork, with a fountain pen still in his hand. The trial begins within a few months. The British press understands what they have. A charismatic Italian thief caught because he loved his car too much. Viccei plays the role to perfection. He is courteous in court. He does not deny the robbery. He is photographed smiling at his own arraignment. The press calls him the most stylish criminal in living memory. The hidden victim's problem surfaces during prosecution. Investigators try formally to total the loss. They cannot. Most of the safe deposit box owners refuse to file claims. Some never identified themselves at all. Boxes were rented under nominees, holding companies, false names. The British police can only formally charge Viccei for boxes whose owners come forward to confirm what they had inside. The true total stolen will never be known. The true victims will largely never speak. They could not afford to be robbed, and they could not afford to admit it. Sentencing. Viccei receives 22 years at the time, the longest sentence ever handed down in Britain for armed robbery. The court is making an example of him. He is sent to HMP Parkhurst on the Isle of Wight, with maximum security. He starts serving his time among murderers, IRA bombers, and the most dangerous prisoners in the country. The British system intends to make sure he never walks free again. This is the moment the Italian playboy stops being a charming fugitive and becomes something stranger. He treats the maximum sentence like a publishing deadline. He starts taking notes. He requests books. Within months, he has petitioned for writing privileges. He is going to use this prison the way other men use a desk. Within 5 years, Italian authorities will invoke an obscure European treaty and request his transfer home. The British government will resist. The Italian government will insist. And in 1992, Valerio Viccei will be moved out of Parkhurst and back to a prison in his native Marche region. So, what does an Italian prison let Valerio Viccei do that a British one would not? And what does he write in his cell in the months after the transfer? The transfer happens in late 1992. He is sent to a prison in Pesaro on the Adriatic coast, less than 100 kilometers from the streets of Ascoli Piceno, where he grew up. The conditions are radically different from Parkhurst. He has writing materials. He has access to literature. The Italian system classifies him as a low escape risk. He has earned the classification through careful good behavior. He has been planning it for years. In his cell, he begins his autobiography. The book is published in Italy that same year, under a title Viccei has chosen himself. Vivi di rapina, muori di rapina. Live by the gun, die by the gun. It is part memoir, part literary apologia, part something stranger. Viccei does not just describe his career. He describes the philosophy of his career. He writes that men who choose his life do not die quietly in prison cells. They die the same way they live. He frames the book as a confession. It reads, retrospectively, as a prophecy. By the mid-1990s, Italian prison authorities grant Viccei extensive permessi premio, the day release privileges the system extends to prisoners deemed rehabilitated. He is allowed to leave the prison during the day. For work, for education, for family, he must return at night. He returns at night. Every night. For years. Italian carabinieri begin to suspect that he is using these privileges to commit additional armed robberies. There is a pattern. Armored truck holdups in the Marche region on specific weekends. The methods match Viccei's signature. Calm, professional, no civilian casualties, fast extraction. But the carabinieri cannot prove it. He is officially in custody during the times of every robbery. He has the perfect alibi, the state itself. April 19, 2000, a provincial road near Sant'Egidio alla Vibrata in the Abruzzo region close to his hometown. Dawn. Viccei and an accomplice are attempting the armed robbery of an armored truck on a quiet stretch of asphalt cut through farmland. Italian carabinieri, acting on a tip-off, are already in position. The first burst of automatic gunfire takes Viccei in the chest. He is hit again as he attempts to return fire. He goes down on the side of the road in the cold morning light. He dies at the scene. He is 44 years old. 8 years before that morning, in a prison cell in Pesaro, he had written the book that named, in his own words, the death he would have. He titled it, Live by the Gun, Die by the Gun. He spent the next 8 years using state-sanctioned day release to make the prophecy come true. He was not a robber who happened to die in a shootout. He was an author who scripted his own ending and refused at any point to deviate from it. Watch what happens to every previous beat when you hold that book up against it. The close for cleaning sign in 1987 is no longer audacity. It is Viccei writing the role he will die playing. The Ferrari is no longer a mistake. It is the persona refusing to abandon itself. The 22-year sentence is no longer a punishment. It is the persona becoming more important than survival. He did not die in Abruzzo in April 2000. He died in 1992, the moment he picked up the pen. The Knightsbridge vault is still open for business on Cheval Place. Most of the 40+ million pounds were never recovered. Most of the people who lost it never came forward. The autobiography is still in print in Italian bookstores tonight. Parvez Latif served less than 2 years and disappeared from public records. Some criminals die in prison cells, some die in shootouts. Valerio Viccei was the third kind. He died inside his own book. Viccei wrote his own ending and made the world watch. Some men spend a lifetime crafting the myth of their own life. Others spend it ripping open the myths the most dangerous governments on earth would kill to keep buried. That's exactly what one investigator did to Russia's most secret assassins. He named them. He photographed them. He published their faces while they were still hunting. That story is the next.